part of ultrarunning. As we seek the buckles, the finish lines, and the crazy distances, we experience a lot of failure along the way too. I'm Heidi.
And I'm Michelle, and we're both ultra runners and ultra running coaches who want to know more about the dreaded DNF, how, when, and why they happen, but more importantly, how we learn, we move forward, and we get back up to run again.
Hey everyone, welcome back to Let's Run That Again. Thank you so much for joining us today. I'm Heidi Baker.
And I'm Michelle Goldberg.
And we are here to talk about DNFs and the hard days in ultra running and how we can deal with them, learn from them, and grow from them. Please subscribe to the podcast so you never miss an episode. And if you can leave us a review and sharing the podcast is always really appreciated. Today, we are welcoming to the show Justin Andreas. He is an ultra runner. He's a running coach himself. He is a really fun content creator on Instagram. He's at Running in Stash on Instagram, and I really enjoy his content. And he's a podcast host himself. So I think you've completed 400-mile races and a fifth one coming up, or is that right?
That is correct. Yep.
All right. Yeah. So welcome, Justin. It's good to have you here.
Justin.
Yeah, it's great to be here. Thanks for having me on.
So we kind of always start our guests with just telling us a little bit about yourself, how you got into ultra running, kind of how you got to the place you are now in the sport. So if you could give us
origin
a little
story.
Yeah.
Being a podcast host myself, and we just hit our 100th episode. So I've
congrats!
Awesome.
Thank you. I've talked to quite a few runners, and everyone has this really cool story, and I just feel like mine is not that interesting. But here we go, anyways. I ran track in junior high and high school. I then joined the military. I've been in the active duty Air Force for 18 years now. And so it's part of my job to run. So I've always somewhat been a runner my whole life. But I'd say the love and the joy of running came in about 2017. I was a bodybuilder, got bored with that, turned to like CrossFit, tried that out. And I had a friend that I worked with who was I would call him a semi-pro triathlete. And he was running a marathon in about 4 weeks. And I asked him, how long do you think it would take to train for a half marathon? Maybe I could run it next year. The same race offering the half marathon distance. And he said, dude, you're fit enough that you could run the half marathon this year. So he built me a little plan. I ran the half marathon. I absolutely loved it. I continued to train and ran the marathon the next year and absolutely hated it. And I was like, why do people do this? This is ridiculous. And, I, in turn of running and training for that marathon, I found podcasts, and I found, a couple podcasts where they interviewed all these ultra runners and these guys and gals that go out and run these 100 miles and 200-mile races. And I'm like, that sounds so cool. I hadn't even run a marathon yet, but I'm like, man, I'm so far away from that, and, after I ran the marathon, I'm like, how do the people do this? And then I realized that they don't do it on the road. They do it on the trails and
right.
And yeah. And so, I then turned to trail running in 2019, and in 2020, I ran my first ultra. In 2020, I ran my first 100-miler, and I have not looked back since.
Fantastic.
That's awesome.
It's my little two-minute recap. I've practiced it.
Yeah. Yeah, you've got that down. So Justin, you live in Alaska currently.
I do, yes.
Yes.
I'm stationed here in Fairbanks. I will be here until about 2026, somewhere in there. So
Wow.
I always like to take advantage of the places that I'm stationed and do the cool stuff. So when I first got into running, I was stationed in Guam, which is a tiny little island.
Oh wow.
That's a territory of the United States. It's 4 hours south of Japan. It's about 7 or 8 hours west of Hawaii. It's just out in the middle of nowhere. So that's where I ran my first half marathon. The marathon.
Did you love it? Did you love Guam?
Yeah, it was cool. Living on the island.
Who's lived in Guam has loved it.
Yeah, it was great. The people are great. The food was awesome. The environment was just really cool. But yeah, the marathon started at 3 a.m. because it gets so hot there that they have to,
Oh gosh.
get it before everybody, passes out from all the heat and humidity. But then I moved to South Dakota. That's where I found trail running, and then my love for trail running. I ran the local 100 miler, which is the Black Hills 100 there.
That sounds like such a good race.
Yeah, the Black Hills is great.
Yeah.
There's thousands of miles of trails, and you'll get out for a day and you won't see a single other soul out there on the trails. It's just awesome.
Wow.
That's amazing.
I got the opportunity to go run the Bighorn 100, which is about 4 hours away in Wyoming. I hit a couple Colorado ultras. It was just really cool. And then moved up to Alaska. This year in March, I ran the White Mountain 100, which is a self-supported winter 100 miler.
Wow.
And so, I try to take advantage of wherever I'm at and where I'm stationed, and do all the local stuff, and get out and have fun with it.
Yeah, that was kind of my next question, is just talking about running in Alaska.
Yeah.
That's like so extreme, like no matter what time of year it is, I feel like, because like in the summertime, it's the like constant daylight, and then it's like the darkness in the winter and the weather. I'm curious as to like what your like ultra training looks like there, because I can't imagine running in those extremes like so consistently like you do.
Well, it gives you, in the summertime, it gives you the opportunity to run your training runs whenever you want.
That's true.
Currently right here in Alaska, it's 1:30 in the afternoon. Whenever we get done with this, I'm going on a 26-mile training run. So I'll be done at, I'm planning for a 6-hour run. So I'll be done at 9 o'clock, and then the sun will still be out. So you won't need a headlamp. And it's beginning of August. We're starting to lose sunlight now. I think we're losing about 7 minutes a day. And so, probably September, October is when it starts to kind of level out and look somewhat normal, I guess you would say, as the lower 48 sun would look like. But yeah, they're in November, December, January, February timeframe. It's very dark. All of your runs are at night essentially, and unless you're running from like 10 to 3, you're running at night. So headlamps and waist lamps and all kinds of blingy stuff on you is necessary. But yeah, it's awesome running on snowpack trails, because all the snow machines out here, we have tons of sled dogs that run up and down the trails, and so they pack the trails down for like the bike riders, the fat bikes, the runners, the hikers. And so we still run trails in the wintertime, even though they're they're full of snow. But yeah, it's great.
Yeah, that sounds amazing. That's kind of a gift to be able to do that. I was wondering, I'm thinking about like the wildlife. Like
that popped in my head too.
I was curious, just like what precautions do you have to take? Like for wildlife.
Here in town, we don't really have a problem with bears. I won't say there's not bears here in town, but it's not an issue that a lot of people worry about. I think recently there was a black bear spotted here in town on our local trails, and it's not uncommon for somebody to see a bear, but it's not a common occurrence that you're going to run into one. Now, what the problem is in town is moose. They're very aggressive, and they do not move out of the way. So if you see one, you have to wait it out or go around. They're extremely aggressive, and if they have a calf with them, then you're done for.
You go the other way.
Yeah.
We lived in Wyoming. We lived in Wyoming when I was young, and my younger brother on a hike once, I mean, he was young at the time, got chased by a mother with her calf. And literally, I think the only reason he's alive today or not severely injured is because she tripped as she was chasing them and decided to turn around and go back to her calf. And it's nuts. Like, moose are scary. Yeah.
Very. We run into them a lot in the wintertime because the snowpack, they have a hard time traveling around into the woods. So they get on the trails and they'll just walk up and down the trail. So we do have issues with them in the wintertime. I wouldn't say you won't see them in the summertime too. You will as well. But the wintertime is when we see a lot of them. But yeah, if you get out of town and you start running, Denali National Park is like an hour and a half away. We go down there and run in the trails down there. There's tons of trails just outside of town that are amazing, have great climbs and awesome views. But but that's where you need to start carrying bear spray because I haven't seen one yet on while trail running, but I've seen really fresh scat. I've seen prints through the mud. I think that I take precautions. I have bear spray on me. I also take people with me. I'm not going out there by myself. I don't have dogs big enough to, kind of scare them away that want to run 20 miles with me. So I always take people with me. And I think your chances of running into a bear are probably pretty slim if you have multiple people, you're talking, having fun with it. So
Yeah, you're making more noise. They're probably all hiding behind the trees, like watching you.
Yeah, they've definitely seen me. I can guarantee you that.
The black bears are the ones that you want to yell at, right? Don't you want to be noisy with the black bears?
The black bears are they're very skittish. They're just they'll take off running.
Aren't they the ones that you're supposed to like yell at though?
Yeah,
or like
you can yell at both of them. I don't know what the grizzly bears are gonna do, but
I just know that there's one that you just yell at them, and I thought it was the black bear. Yeah,
I've like had I've had occurrences with them before, and the black bears will just take off running. They don't really. They're pretty skittish. I've never had one to stand its ground or come sniffing in. The grizzly bears, they'll do what they want to do. I mean, they're the kings, so nothing's bigger than them. So they do what they want to do. But the couple of occurrences that I've had with the brown bear, grizzly bear, they've usually gone the other way, just at their leisure.
Wow,
wild adventures.
Yes. Then there's also wolves up here. There's packs of wolves. That was kind of the concern when I was running the White Mountain 100. They've in the past have had wolves, like not necessarily track runners, but just kind of sea runners, and then the pack run beside them and stuff like that. So,
oh wow.
Of course, that was kind of a concern for me. I was like, oh my gosh, I'm gonna be out there by myself at night, and there's gonna be wolves everywhere. But
gosh,
that sound when you're on a trail in the dark in the middle of the night and you hear like a wolf or a coyote like howling, that is wild.
Yeah, when I was in South Dakota, we would run trails at night, and we had a couple mountain lions like scream at us and stuff like that. That'll raise the hair on the back of your neck for sure.
Well, as you know, we're kind of exploring the like races that go wrong or really like test our limits and like our
what race has gone right? Because I haven't had one of those yet. If you have, let me know.
I have not. Mine seem to always go wrong.
Yeah.
But we kind of just want to explore that a little bit. Like, do you have a race that sticks out in your head as like the race that went wrong or really tested you that, I hesitate to say made you question ultra running, because I feel like we all question ultra running in the middle of ultra running. I think that's fair to say. But
I did that yesterday on a 4-mile run, so
But the one that kind of, the race that goes wrong, you never want to do it again, and then afterwards you're like coming back to it, because that's kind of what we're exploring here. You see me on Instagram, I'm an expert DNFer, and I still keep coming back, and so we're kind of exploring that mindset of just like, well, why wouldn't you just stop? If it's that bad, why don't you just stop? Is there a specific race, a specific run that kind of that resonates with you at all?
Yeah, if you know anything about me, my favorite race is the Bighorn 100. It's an extremely hard race. It offers extremely high temperatures during the day and extremely cold temperatures at night. When I say cold, like it'll be probably below freezing at night and over 100 during the day.
Oh my gosh.
There's snow at the top of the climb, a turnaround. The snow will melt, and there's about a 2 to 3 mile section of just like snow melt water that you have to walk through that your feet are numb. I'm trying to sell it, but let people know that to have their expectations there that it's an extremely hard race.
What's the elevation gain on that one?
I think it's about 20.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a hard rock qualifier
that's still,
for a reason.
Yeah, that's tough.
Yeah.
That's a lot.
I think I was a little less, but you know how GPS watches are. Like,
Yeah.
your watch says 19 and theirs says 21. So
Yeah.
I don't know. But yeah, that one opens up with about a 3,000 to 4,000 foot climb right off the bat. So you're climbing straight up the mountain.
Yeah.
And then you pretty much climb the whole way up to like the turnaround mile 48, and then you pretty much run all the way back down. So it sounds great. Yeah, like you run uphill for 48 miles and you turn around and run downhill for 48 miles, or 52 miles actually. But yeah, it's a bunch of stuff thrown in that just beats you down. So funny story, like now I realized why I did this. I was under fueling because I was taking Spring Energy. And so, I wasn't like, this was only my this was my second 100, but kind of like my second year in ultra running. I ran one in 2020, but it was kind of just like a loop course where I had 8 every 3 miles type thing. So
yeah,
it wasn't like a big ultra. So this was kind of my second year in really ultra running in 22. And, my fueling was still kind of off. It wasn't like true on fueling. So I was kind of taking just a Spring Energy every hour and then, hitting the aid stations and, supplementing with the aid station. So definitely under fueling. And at mile 30, I was throwing up. And so, that combined with the 100-degree temperatures and, I was running out of water and it was just a nightmare of a time. So from mile 30 to mile 48, you can pick up a pacer but they have to go all the way up to 48, and then you can pick up another one, all the way back down.
Right.
But so I wasn't supposed to have a pacer at mile 30. I was supposed to pick him up at 48, but he was there at 30. He saw what kind of a condition I was in when I got there. So he's like, I'm just going to go with you now. He saved my race. I was 100% in my mind. I was going to quit. I was done. My calves were doing the little rolly thing where, from like lack of salts, I hadn't peed in like 7 or 8 hours. I had a sensation that I needed to pee, but I couldn't pee. And so, my buddy was prior triathlete. So he's had tons of experience in endurance sports, pretty new to ultra running, just like myself, but we kind of just coached it through. We took it slow. We pretty much hiked the whole 17 miles up. We ate ramen noodles. The sun went down. The nighttime started to fall. It started to get cooled off. It cooled my body off. Then we got to the water section. My feet were numb, but the combination of all the nighttime air, the snow, the eating the ramen all the way up at all the aid stations, just like taking it slow, my body started to come back around, and I was able to negative split the race on the way down. So, I contribute that to my crew 100%, because I got to that 48 and my dad was like, he was crewing me. He's like, you're not quitting. You're tying your shoes back up and you're getting out of here. So, that race, it really, really, really tested me. And after when looking back on it, it's one of those things. It's like, man, if I can get over that, I can do anything. And so, I was really put through the trials on that race. And, I think I've become a better runner and a better ultra runner because of it. So I know how to suffer.
Yeah. What a powerful lesson to like be that far in the dark. Sorry about the dog.
No worries.
It's okay.
Such a powerful lesson to be that far in the hole and come back out of it.
Yeah. One of the podcasts I listened to, I can't remember which one it is, but the one thing that they always say on the podcast is it's 10 junk miles. 10 junk miles. They always say that anything can be solved with time and food. And so honestly, that's what solved my issues. Is I had time and I took it, and I ate a lot of food and I caught back up on my nutrition, and that's what I believe. That and my crew putting a foot in my ass and telling me to get it going. But that was time.
What a good friend to be there in that moment.
Yeah. I definitely he saved my race for sure. And it was cool because the next year he ran it and I got to go out and pace him. So
cool.
I got to pay it forward the next year. So that was pretty neat.
I like to say low mood, eat food.
Oh, I like that. I've never heard that before. That's a good one.
It's always the first answer. It's like the IT people tell you to unplug and replug your computer, and ultra runners will tell you just eat something. Just eat.
Yep.
Very simple.
And after that, I started getting smart on nutrition, and I've really kind of dialed it in now. So, I do anywhere between 80 to 100 grams of carbs an hour now. So I
Wow.
really have it dialed in.
That's
That's
fantastic.
awesome.
Yeah, I've hired an RD, registered dietitian. I, just really took the time to learn about nutrition. And then, getting certified in coaching, I was like, well, how can I help my athletes out? So, I'm not anything spectacular, but I got like a little nutrition certification as well. So
Yeah.
I don't give them any type of I give them advice. I don't tell them that this is what you need to do, but
Right.
I wanted to get smart for myself and to be able to help my athletes out as well. So I think that I've cracked that code, but like Mike Tyson says, you can have a plan until you get punched in the face. And so
Yeah.
every single race, you get punched in the face and you get tested. So it's
100%.
every time it's learning.
I would imagine also for the type of for a really intense mountain race, like the type of races when you're out in the wilderness and you're physically very challenged, but also it takes a lot of mental energy to plan that race and to be worried about, okay, how far away to the water cross, like all the different sort of strains on your energy. You need more food, you need more nutrition. So
For sure.
nutrition to be an endurance athlete in the mountains, I feel like it just is a whole different thing.
Yeah. Yes, you're 100% right. Bighorn scared me, and I've yet to run another mountain race. I've run 3 other hundreds since then, but they've all been like 8,000 foot. White Mountain was 9,000, and then I got one in, I guess, 3 weeks. That's like a 10,000. So I've yet to get back on to the 20,000 because that one scared me, but I'll be back out there one of these days. But every 100, presents its own challenges, whether it be elevation or,
Yeah.
length to the next 8 stations or whatever it may be. They all present their own challenges for sure.
Very true.
Yeah. So I know that as a coach, I'm sure you have to talk athletes, or maybe you haven't yet, but you will at some point, talk them through a DNF or a race that goes wrong. What's the coaching perspective on that? How would you help your athlete through that if they call you and they're like, hey, I couldn't do it. I didn't make it. I didn't make the cutoff. My stomach was upset and I couldn't do it. How do you help them troubleshoot that?
Yeah, I having sympathy for them, having a little empathy, giving them time is everyone processes a DNF, whether it be at a race or whatever the DNF may be. Everyone processes it different. And so knowing your athlete on a more personal level, as opposed to that's why I call them athletes, because they're athletes.
Yeah.
Having, instead of clients, I hear some people say that they're clients.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, they're not clients, they're athletes. And so
Yeah.
I they're my own little team. So we've had we've had DNFs on the team, and so we give them time, or I give them time to talk about it. We talk after the race, we talk about it, and then we maybe do a follow up a week or so later, see how they're doing, slowly bring them back into running. They may have DNF'd 100 at mile 62. You still ran 100K, your body needs time to recover, right?
Yeah,
And so
absolutely.
but talking through it, I think is a big thing, and having that empathy and sympathy for someone. Yeah, it sucks. I get it. I understand. But where can we learn the lessons that cause the DNF, or how can we apply that to your training to help you succeed at the next one? And so basically just giving them time and talking it through and applying that to the coaching for their next race. I think that's what I wouldn't say what works for me, because I'm not the one actually running the race. I'm not the one
Right.
suffering the DNF, but I think we've had success in a DNF and then coming back and conquering the next race from the lessons learned from the previous one.
And that speaks volumes there, just to, be able to learn and troubleshoot and go from there and then be successful on the next one. I mean,
Yeah.
that's That's really the key there.
Because they suck. I mean, not being able to finish something that you've worked hard for, it sucks.
Yeah.
And so, yeah.
Yeah, and that empathy and allowing the space for them to feel the feels and to like kind of process it, and that gives them the room to sort of break down what the lessons are.
Yeah. But giving them the shoulder, be that person that they can talk to as well. So let them know that, hey, if you need to talk about it, we're here for sure. Because it may feel like the end of the world at the time, but guess what? It's not. Like, you didn't suffer any major injuries, more than likely. So, and if you did, the body heals. You can definitely come back and run another race. I mean, we see it all the time. People go in, have major knee surgeries, and come back out and get third place at Western States. And so, it's definitely possible to combat. So, I mean, if you suffered from a DNF, recently, just give it time. It stings right now, but you'll get over it, and you can go back and you can conquer the. If you want to go back and conquer the same race, do it again, or move on to the next one. Like, put it in the back of your mind and rock and roll.
When I've DNF'd, I have like unfinished business and I have to go back. Like, it's like, no, I gotta do this at some point. I think I'll be back at Kettle Moraine next year.
Do you wear the race shirt of the DNF?
I don't like to usually.
Okay. Yeah. We always had that conversation on our podcast. It's like, do you wear the race shirt or not? And to me, it's like you ran the race. You were part of the race.
I'll wear it as like a shirt to bed sometimes.
Yeah,
but
okay.
I don't like to like wear it out because then
it's
like,
okay, I can understand
if somebody's
that.
like, oh, I ran that race too, I'm like, oh yeah, I DNF'd it. Like,
yeah.
But I mean, it's still a shirt that I paid for too.
Absolutely.
So
I
gotta get some use out of it. Maybe I should make a DNF like blanket, like one of those.
Oh, that's a good idea.
Well, with
like
all this,
because I'm accumulating enough DNFs at this point to make one and then it can be like my little comfort blanket after my races. Like,
I like that idea.
That's a $1 million idea blanket. Right there.
Find a use for them. So like, I feel like you have run in some like pretty extremes, just in your training, and do you feel like that really helps your mindset in these like 100-mile races? Because like not all of us can get that experience that you're getting, and I say that from a point of envy, actually. Yes, because I live in the low country in the swamps, and it's a gazillion degrees and humid and flat. So
yeah.
Do you feel like that really helps that kind of mental toughness that you have going into these 100-mile races?
It does. I'm at the point in my training right now that I'm done. You get to that point where
you're over it.
This is my last long run today, and then I start my taper 3 weeks out. And so I'm getting upset today because I'm like, I'm so sick and tired of training.
Yeah.
I'm getting to that point, but it's like, I know I still need to go out, and like, I'll go out and do this race and go out and do this training run and I'll be fine, but I'm not going to be done until 9:30, 10 o'clock tonight. And so it's just like, that it's a mental suck, but that's what I need. I need to have that mental suck. And so it's like, you're going out for 26 miles on trails. It's going to be terrible and you're going to hate every second of it. But tomorrow you're going to be like, man, I just ran 26 miles on the trails. It's like, you'll have that. But yeah, I think putting yourself in situations where it sucks builds a strong mind. What is the saying? I think it's being comfortable in the uncomfortable. And when it's -40 outside in the wintertime, don't be envious of this because it's -40, right? Me and my friends are going out running. I did a 15-mile trail run at -38 this year. Or it may have been January, December timeframe, but I mean, putting yourself in those situations definitely builds a strong mind. It's freezing cold. Like, you can wear clothes, but like you're still kind of cold.
That kind of cold is.
Yeah.
Let me clarify. I'm not envious of that.
Yeah, but putting yourself in those situations that that make your mind tough. I do this on every training block that I do, and I don't make my athletes do it, but I highly suggest that they do it. Is a 20-miler on the treadmill. It teaches you so much about
It's so
yourself.
hard. Yeah.
It's very hard. It's easy to go out and run. It's not easy, but it's easy to go out as an ultra runner and run 20 miles on the trails, or go run 20 miles on the road. Getting on the treadmill and doing a 4 to 5 hour training run sucks.
Yeah. That is absolute mental fortitude right there.
But what do you learn from that run? You know, what do you gain from that run? From that steady state 4-5 hours of just pounding the tread, you learn so much about yourself. Whether you're like, I'm never doing this again, or like, man, I am mentally tough. If I can handle 5 hours of a rolling tread, pounding it, I'd be fine. So I do it every block, and I highly suggest my athletes do it. I have one that loves it now. Like every training block, he's like, oh man, I can't wait for my 20-mile treadmill run. And so because it sucks.
Yeah, that's interesting. I mean, usually you hear folks talk about prescribed treadmill runs to get incline or to do a particular, specified interval workout. But I love the idea of just for the mental fortitude. Yeah.
Yeah. And I know my tried and true trail runners that are listening to this are gonna be like, I'm never doing that. But hey, I challenge you, give it a shot and see what it's like. I've done the furthest I've done is a marathon. This December I'm doing 100-miler on the treadmill. That's
that's fantastic.
I haven't decided when I'm going to do it. Probably like the first weekend, but I'm going to do 100-miler on the treadmill this December.
It really is like there's something so powerful to choosing to do that and persevering and knowing, like, every once in a while I'll choose a race that I know is going to be kind of a monotonous course or something just for that mental sort of training. Just to lock in there.
100%.
That's intense.
Yeah, that's
yeah, we'll see how the 100 miles goes. I maybe never step on the treadmill again after that.
Yeah, it's just funny the like difference, because like Michelle said, it's like I use the treadmill all the time because that's the only way I can get like I can't do, there's nothing here. Like there's the bridge in Savannah, but that's not safe to run on. There's like nothing for pedestrians, so it's like there's no hills. So like that's what I do. So like the choice, if someone's in a situation where they have, like, you have trails to go run on, but you choose to do the treadmill for like that it's a mental workout essentially is what it is, because the physical workout is done. Like, yeah, you get, benefit from it, but that's, I think, a really great idea.
Yeah,
I have a super nice treadmill. So don't it's not like that I'm going to the gym and running on these like $20 treadmills. Like I have a very nice like Norditrack that has the little bounce thing to it. I have I bought a TV that I put right in front of the, the treadmill. It's like a 40 or 50 inch TV that I have all of my apps downloaded on. So it's like, yeah, I'm on the treadmill, but like I'm watching YouTube videos or streaming Netflix shows. So it's like,
so is your 100-miler gonna be like some type of marathon, like show binge or marathon that you're gonna be watching?
I haven't decided yet, but I think that, 100 miles on a treadmill is going to take me forever, I feel like. But
yeah,
I don't know if you know or if you follow Death March Running Company.
Yeah.
Me and one of the owners of Death March is we kind of challenged each other to do the 100-miler on the treadmill. So we're gonna knock it out. So
that sounds like some really good Instagram content coming our way.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see. I may just have to set up a tripod and just go live for 30 hours.
I would tune in. I'd see how you were doing.
Yeah.
I'd be interested to see what you've been watching to keep you entertained on the treadmill for that long.
maybe I'll do some polls or something to get some shows, and like whatever wins
Yeah.
the highest, that's the show that I watch or
There
something
you
like
go.
that. Like I'll let the audience pick what I
Oh,
Ooh,
watch.
fun.
I love this.
Yeah, so maybe we can have fun with it. That sounds cool.
That would give it another cool level for you too. That's awesome.
Yeah, because I challenge everyone to find a show that I've not seen because I watch a lot of TV. So I'm that typical runner that runs and then comes back and sits on the couch for 8 hours. So I put out there about on Instagram about neglecting all of my responsibilities. That's true life. Like I actually do that. My grass is like knee deep right now. So
That's
funny.
great.
Yeah, definitely. That would be fun to see like what people would vote for, and that'd be
Yeah.
a fun twist on that.
Yeah, that definitely would be cool. We'll see what they come up with. I'll be watching
Yeah.
like a season 1 of Teletubbies or something. I don't know. We'll see what.
Yeah, maybe
We'll
you
see.
should like give choices because
No,
I feel
you
like
know,
that
I'm not
could
gonna
be a
give choice.
really
I'm just gonna let.
dangerous road to go down.
I'm just gonna let people pick. What am
Yeah,
I
You're
gonna
gonna
watch?
have a lot of time. You'll have
Yeah,
you can have a wide
yeah,
variety.
yeah. I think 30 hours is kind of where I would shoot. See what, because the platform I think we're gonna do it on is it's gonna be like we're gonna give each other 60 hours to do it. So, I think that's fair because I don't know how treadmills work. Like if you can run them for 30 hours, so like maybe
yeah,
have
I
to
was thinking
give
about
the.
that. I'm like, would it like want to
Might burn it
time
out.
out so it doesn't like burn out or something? I
Yeah,
don't.
so my plan is what I think I'm going to do is I'm going to do 3 hours and then take an hour off and then do
Oh,
3
that's
hours.
smart.
So, whoever wants to come at with me and tell me that I'm not a real runner for doing that, whatever. But my goal is to do it in 30 hours. So, 10 of those little stints, and then the hour break in between. That'll be my aid station nap time or whatever. But
Yeah.
we'll see what I come up with. Maybe I do some research and see if my treadmill can handle it. But I may be buying a new treadmill after that.
Yeah, right. I'm picturing also like the snacks and the water bottles everywhere, like
Yeah, I kind
your
of got a
aid
plan
station.
already
Yeah.
that those little plastic stackable shelves I have in my garage. I'm just gonna like have it sitting right beside the treadmill so I can just like pick stuff up and eat it and drink it type thing. So because my wife is definitely not gonna be coming out every 20 minutes to give me something to eat. So
That's funny.
That's perfect. And I think it really is. It's so powerful and so effective when you get like sort of like frequent doses of those mentally tough things in terms of training.
yeah,
It doesn't always have to be a big, massive, like go conquer 30, miles out on the trails, but even like smaller doses and increments of tough training activities, whether it's on the treadmill or wherever, they add up in terms of someone really believing like, oh yeah, I can handle this. I can do this. I did it again. I can,
yeah.
I think I heard someone say on another podcast once, like, do something like you hate every single day. Like if it's, and it could be simple, like I hate doing planks or something, then force yourself to do planks like every single day just to get that like mental, like I have to do something like I hate today.
yeah,
And
I would
and work through that
I would hate
resistance.
having to do that.
well, then it'll work double for you.
Yeah, it'd work perfect.
Yeah, yeah. That's funny.
Your content, Justin, I know that I like was just immediately like drawn to your like Instagram. Like your content is so welcoming to like people in the back of the pack and like newer ultra runners, I feel like, especially. So I appreciate that so much because, as somebody who still feels kind of new to the ultra running world, I love, pages that aren't just about like, doing crazy 100-milers every weekend and podium finishes and all this stuff, and just that content that is like, this is what it's really like, and you're welcome here kind of mindset. So I mean, what kind of got you started with that kind of niche and that that direction as far
Well,
as like
let's be let's be honest here. I really just kind of started Instagram and doing Instagram because I wanted free stuff.
I love that.
I heard that you can get free stuff on Instagram from people, so I was like, well, let me start building a channel and see what I can get. I've blown away by the stuff that I've gotten so far. So it's been a cool journey and cool ride. But I saw that there wasn't that person out there that works for a living, I feel like, and runs max 40 to 50 miles. My peak week for this training block was a 58 miler for the week. I consistently run 40 to 50 mile weeks for 10 to 12 weeks, but I peak at that. That's kind of where I'm at. I work, I have a family, I run a podcast, I run an Instagram, I have my own coaching business. And so then I also train and run ultra marathons as well. So I don't have time, and it's all about balance. And sometimes, like, I was freaking out today because I was gone for a week traveling, and I come back and the grass needs to be mowed, and I got a podcast later. I have this podcast. I have I'm a beekeeper. I have 3 hives out there that need tending to. I have I got to go do a 26-mile trail run for training. And it's like it all just kind of added up all at once, and I just started freaking out. I was like, oh my gosh. And so the reason I wanted to do my Instagram stuff is just to bring reality to that, because that's everybody out there, right? We all have a job and a family and hobbies, but we also want to run these cool races and do this. And it's like having a somewhat of comedic, output to talk about it. And so that's why I started it, other than the free stuff that I get, or that I wanted to get. I saw that there was something there that, the normal people that can resonate with and can be like, yeah, that's me. And so, and then, and now that I've, gotten smarter and gotten a little bit of education when it comes to running, and, through coaching and getting all these certifications that I feel like I need to properly give back to my athletes. It comes down to like, okay, well, I've gotten these, few followers from doing the funny stuff, but how can I keep them around? Like, what's some education stuff people want? So like today I'm going out and doing my run. I'm going to talk about all of the stuff that I'm going to be eating on my run. I'm sure there's like 9,000 people that don't care what I'm eating on my run, but there might be that one. Yeah. And so like, if I can educate that one person on like, hey, maybe I should try that nutrition. Maybe that'll help out. I've been struggling. Yeah. I'm not a registered dietitian. I have like 0 certifications other than like one small little one on nutrition, but maybe that one video helps that one person. I'm sitting here pointing like you guys can see me, but
maybe I'm all like, yeah, I want to know.
Yeah, exactly. So maybe that one video helps someone out. I don't know. I like having fun with it, and that's where I'm at. So I'm not afraid to show my feet. I have really big calves for some reason, and people always tell me like, "Oh, you should put your calves on Instagram." So there may be some sneak peeks of those coming soon. But yeah, I just wanted to resonate with the everyday person who, like I said, works 40 to 60 hours a week, has a family.
And really, that's most of the ultra running community is like the people who are just normal people who try their best to do this on the side of everything else going on.
But you're right. We see these Instagrammers that have hundreds of thousands of followers that they run 100-mile weeks, and they run a race every other weekend, and I'm like, that's not realistic for like 99% of the people.
Right.
I don't know. I can't afford the shoes to go run that much.
I know.
And I put one out the other day talking about my BMI. Like, I'm not your typical quote, end quote, runner body. Right. Like I'm 5'8", like 185, 190 pounds. Like I got a nacho and beer stomach. I feel like that's a lot of the ultra runners too. You go to the ultra running scene, and it's like everyone's got a little belly on them, and we're all just like encouraging by it. And I've seen some like people who you would not even think look like a runner or was a runner at all crush massive races. And it's like, man, that's super awesome.
Yeah, I always
Yeah.
feel like people who are like kind of interested in the sport and they're like, well, I don't know if I could like really do that. I'm like, just come to an ultra marathon and just see like the people there, not like in a judgmental way, but just like everybody is seriously welcome here. Like this
Yeah.
is it's for everybody, and you can't ever size anyone up because there are some like incredible athletes out there doing these ultra marathons that would just that blow me out of the water. I end up being in the back like every single time. And it's I don't know. I think that's the cool thing about it is the it seems daunting from the outside world, like to the outside world it seems like a really daunting sport, but then when you actually get engrossed in it, it's like it's really not that scary.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, it's terrifying. Don't get me wrong. It is terrifying.
Oh yeah, I mean,
Don't listen to Heidi. When you're lining up for 100-miler, it's a terrifying event.
yes, there is a little bit of terror involved in the distances, but I
Yeah.
mean, it's.
But
Hey,
I think like with,
I haven't lined up for 100-mile yet, so I guess I haven't felt that feeling. So we'll
well,
see.
you will.
I'll
Yeah, you're
report
there.
back. I will report back.
Yeah. I was gonna
So
say within the ultra running community, there's just there truly is that welcoming spirit, and I think that's the piece that you tap into with your content a bit, is that you really kind of show that like there's nothing like the ultra running community.
There really isn't. And it's so hard to explain to people that don't understand
Yeah.
it. Like
Yeah.
I can highlight it all day long on my videos or, showing people what an ultra race like is. But man, until you're out there and you experience it, there's nothing like it.
Mhm. Yeah. Yeah.
It's
100%.
addicting.
it is. So what do you have coming up? You said you've got a race coming up in a few weeks. What race?
I'm
are you
running
doing?
the Oregon Cascades 100.
Oh, that's right. I remember you
Yeah,
telling me
it
that.
runs from Bend to Sisters. And I think
Oh,
there's like 10 to 12,000 foot of climb. You're running through burn scars, so a lot of like exposed areas, heat.
huh.
So look, coming from Alaska where it's like 50, 60 degrees, it's gonna be great. But yeah.
Oh, I'm sure it's gonna be gorgeous
Oh,
though.
I'm sure it will be. I'm super excited for it. It's gonna be a great race. I've heard nothing but
So,
good things about it.
like for this race in particular, will you have crew? Are you bringing like pacers? How do you usually approach a 100-miler like that?
So I've never, up until the White Mountain 100, I had never done a race without crew or pacers. And so I was real nervous going into that race, like, okay, because that race is remote. Like the only way to get to the aid stations, and the aid stations are 20 miles apart. And
Oh wow.
so I think the first one was at 17, and then it was like 23, 22, 18, and then like 20 or something like that. But so and when I mean by aid station, they had like soup. So it wasn't an aid station, right? Like it was a cabin that you could go into that was hot that you could warm up with, but it wasn't like your typical ultra marathon aid station. But
Buffet. Yeah.
so there was no access to crew. You could not have a pacer. So I was extremely nervous going into it. But I did it and it was fine. And so now on these races, if I don't have a crew or pacer, I'm like, that's fine. I think I could do it. I'm
Yeah.
100% confident that I can now knock out a 100-miler without a crew or pacer. But in saying that, if you think that my wife was not going to go to Bend, Oregon in the mountains without, she's going to let me go without her, like that's insane. So, and then I also have I have two friends that are coming down to crew and pace as well. So I'll have a full crew out there.
Awesome.
Yeah. So it's gonna be
Nice.
cool. The
Nice.
ultra running community, we just like, hey, I'm gonna be in so and so. You want to crew me and pace me? So
Yeah.
That
Yep.
sounds like a great idea.
yeah. I know there's a couple other people that are gonna be running the race too that I've only ever met through Instagram. So it'd be cool to catch up. But
Yeah.
That's fun.
I was wondering, like, when you approach like a race like this, do you do a race plan? Like, I like to do a spreadsheet. Just it's part of my process for getting ready for something. It always, you get punched in the mouth and there goes your plan. But Are you someone that prepares mentally by like organizing a plan or nutrition plan or anything like that?
So I will always have a nutrition plan. I will never go into a race again without a nutrition plan. And I've always had a nutrition plan. It just wasn't. It's just grown as I've gotten
Hmm.
smarter, right? And so I will always have a nutrition plan. Up until this January, I ran Bandera 100K for my Western States qualifier.
Yeah.
I went into Bandera with like a loose goal, like I want to run this time frame, but the ultimate goal is to finish under the cutoff of the Western States to get my qualifier. So I didn't have a plan, and I freaking loved it. Like it was great. I didn't have any stress. Like I got to be at this aid station at this time, and my crew's gonna be waiting at this time. Like I didn't have that stress, and so I'm like, I'm
Yeah.
not doing that again. I've done it on all my other races. I've always like fallen completely off the plan, and then I get stressed out about it. Like we got to be at XY before this time, to stay on our goal. And it's like that's just too much stress and stuff I don't want to think about while I'm out there. So on the White Mountain, I didn't have it. I was like, I had 40 hours to finish the race. So I was like, I'll just take my time. I'll make it to the next aid station. I spent an hour at each one of the little cabins. So, it was like, well, the first one I didn't, but the next three, I spent an hour at it. So 3 hours at the aid stations, but it was like, I got plenty of time. I don't care. And so going forward into this race and then future races, I may have like something loosely based, like this is where I might be at this time for my crew, just for
Right.
them. But I myself will not have anything on me as far as like, I got to be at this aid station at this time. I'm just going to go run.
Yeah, it's interesting. I can think about times, and I feel like, Heidi, I feel like maybe we've talked about this a little bit. Like sometimes I will make the plan more so for the crew so they can kind of predict when I'll be somewhere, but that does get stressful because then if you're not on and you're like, "Oh, but I think they're waiting for me," and then I'll go through like then I feel bad because I'm making them wait so long because I'm so slow. Like you can fall into that mental
Yeah. And then that starts
spiral
messing
a
with
little bit.
your race. It's just something you just don't want
Yeah,
to deal
yeah.
with. Like
So
if you can
letting go
eliminate
of
as
that,
much stress, you're already stressed out to the max anyways, because
right?
you're running this huge race and you got, the slightest little thing, it can and will go wrong. And so like, how
Yep.
do you combat that, but having that little bit of extra stress that's off the table and you don't have to worry about it, just get rid of it. There's no need for it.
Yeah.
Because
Unless you're
Yeah.
competing. I mean, I'm not competing, so I don't care. I just
Yeah.
that's
want to get the
something
buckle.
I always struggle with is that like timeline I put on myself, and that always messes with my head because
Yeah.
something will happen, the weather's bad, it's rainy, it's muddy, it's whatever, and then I fall behind on that schedule, and then I just it's stressful, and then
Yeah.
adding mental stress to a physically stressful situation is not ideal.
For sure.
So I'm like trying to navigate going into my 100, like how to combat that and not like give myself that stress, because I'm a back of the pack runner. Like I am generally chasing cutoffs, and so
Mhm.
I do have to have a certain amount of knowledge of where I need to be at what time. Just because that's kind of how I operate. But I'm trying to find a way to kind of combat that, like that added stress of like being here at this time and keeping this pace from here to here. And
Yeah, that is something that there have been, quite a few races that I've gone to that I was chasing, cutoffs, Bighorn being one of them. I was, within an hour of cutoffs at every single one of the aid stations, I feel like. But yeah, I think having a little plan in your pocket would help, knowing what the cutoffs are, but not the stress of okay, the cutoff is 30 hours, right? But my goal is 28, so I have to be at this aid station or I'm not going to meet my 28-hour goal. Like,
right.
I mean, I get it. There are people that have to be calculated like that, and that's how they run their races, and that's cool. Like, if you want to run your race like that, that's great. Like, run your race, right?
Yeah.
But for me, I just don't want that stress anymore, and it didn't work then. It's not going to work now, and so
Yeah.
I'm just getting rid of it, and I'm not going to worry about it. Like, I'll be there when I get there. I'm sorry,
Yeah.
but that's the truth.
Yeah, I think that's really good advice, and it makes a big difference. You
Yeah.
take that pressure off yourself.
It does. It does.
Yeah.
Very cool.
Now, don't get me wrong. Like when I'm like prepping for a race, I do all my calculations. Like I'll know,
Right.
like, okay, from this section to this section, there's a 2,000-foot climb,
Mhm.
or I know what's coming up in the race. I'm not going to go in just completely blind. Like I watch YouTube
Just
videos
winging
about
it.
the race. Like
Yeah.
I mean, I have winged it on races before, but
Yeah.
for a big one like the hundreds, like I will do my research, and I actually put my research in, and I know, like, okay, I'm a good climber. And so I know that I can make up a lot of time on this climb. And then, then we got a bunch of downhill, blah, blah, blah. But I will definitely do my calculations, and I'll know exactly what's coming up. But as far as like having time expectations, like my goal is just to finish the race,
Yeah. So you're informed, and you have the knowledge, and you have like the course awareness, but you're not attached to those type
Like
of
a
time.
preset timeline for
No.
yourself.
Yeah.
Nah.
Yeah. I think that's good. Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Any other races coming up besides your 100-mile adventure on the treadmill in December?
Yeah, in September, at the end of September, the local run club up here has the Equinox Marathon. It just happens to be on the fall equinox this year, but it usually happens the week before the equinox. It's, I think, the second oldest marathon, either the oldest or the second oldest marathon in the United States.
Wow.
And it's in the top 5 hardest marathons in the United States. Has about 4,000 foot of climb.
Wow.
And
Whoa.
so on a marathon, yeah, that's crazy, right? It's about 70% trail, 30% road. It's an awesome course. It's right here in town. It's actually the route that I'm going out and running today. I'm just going to go run
That's cool.
run the marathon route. But so my dad is flying up and is going to run the marathon. We're going to run it together.
Oh,
And
cool.
so yeah, it'll be a cool adventure. And I'm definitely looking forward to it. But yeah, that'll be in between the craziness of 100-milers. But
Yeah.
it should be a cool adventure. I ran it last year. It was a
that
great
sounds
race. And it's always at fall time, so all the leaves are changed, and it's just like, it's super pretty. So if you
Beautiful,
ever have the
yeah.
opportunity to get up here to run it, definitely take advantage of it.
That sounds amazing, and what a special event to be able to share that with him.
Yep, for sure.
That's cool.
That's awesome.
Nice.
Well, you have a podcast yourself, and it is the Golden Hour Adventure Podcast. We're going to give it a little plug here. And you are on Instagram at running, and it's _, right?
Yep,
Running
underscore in underscore
stash. Yep. And Justin's content is a lot of fun. He's one of my favorite people to follow. He's always putting out something funny and also putting out like helpful tips too. So definitely check him out on Instagram. We'll link everything in the show notes. Is there anything else you wanted to leave listeners with, Justin, or before we say goodbye?
I always say a couple mantras that I have would be really cool to end with.
Yeah.
Ultra running is an individual sport made possible by a team is
Yeah.
one of mine.
100%.
Yep. And then the one that I stand by and I have printed on shirts, and I have a bag coming that has printed on it. So don't be a hero in the first half and don't be a bitch in the second.
That's perfect.
I love that. That's a good one.
Both really good.
Yep. That is great. So, yeah, we are going to leave you with those mantras today. Thank you, Justin, so much for coming on. It was a really fun conversation talking to you today. As I said, we're going to link Justin's information in the show notes so you can follow him and check out his podcast as well. And other than that, we just want to thank you guys for listening today. We appreciate your support. And if you can just remember to leave us a review and subscribe and tag us on our Instagram if you're listening, we'd really appreciate it. And just remember to stay curious and embrace the challenges. And we'll see you next time.
Have a great day.
We appreciate your support so much. If you enjoyed the show, please remember to leave us a review and subscribe so you never miss an episode. Tag us on our Instagram at Let's Run That Again and give us a shout out when you listen. And as always, we welcome feedback from you and are open to ideas and guests for future episodes. Reach out on our Instagram or email us at letsrunthatagainpod@gmail.com.